Stance. You may love it, you may hate it, but regardless of what you think, it's here to stay and is undeniably one of the most popular modification styles currently in the car world. But where did it all begin? Why do people bring themselves to drag subframes along the ground and crack oil pans on speed bumps? First things first, let's understand some key terminology. When applied to a car, the word stance simply refers to how the car sits thanks to its suspension and wheel setup. Every car in the world has a stance, but more recently a stance car refers to the modification style of low and or cambered cars that the internet loves to hate. Fitment, how the wheel sits in relation to the arch, and while there are countless types of fitment, there are a few popular subtypes. Poke, flush, hella flush, hella fail, slammed, and bagged. A bagged car is one that has air suspension, allowing it to achieve aggressive fitment when parked, but functional when on the move, while static refers to a car not equipped with air suspension, usually on coilovers, that is permanently at its static height and can't change on the fly. However, they both originate from the same place. Where stance began is nearly impossible to pin down. There's no defining first event that started it, but we can easily see its various influences. You might be familiar with the famous Japanese motorcycle gangs of the 50s, the Bosozoku, their crazy modification style transferred to cars, birthing the Zokusha styles, or gang car in English. Massively body kitted, brightly painted cars that you can only help to associate with Japan. However, within this movement there was a subclass of modification called shakotan. It literally translates to lowered car, and the purpose was to keep the body lines clean, the car low and cambered with aggressive fitment. Sound familiar? This then evolved over the years into the often seen VIP style of cars, long, low executive cars built to draw eyes rather than win races. Elsewhere in the world, modern day stance was actually being affected by the law. Many countries' laws state that when viewed from above, the car's tread must be inside the arch, so to go lower but stay somewhat within the law, people increase camber to keep their tread within the arch, yet still giving aggressive fitment. While people very often will tell you that lowriders and stance cars do not share the same philosophy and cannot be compared, it's still worth noting that stance owes part of its origin to lowrider culture. In the early to mid 60s, lowriders were being ticketed for having their arch lower than the top of their rim. To answer this, they equipped cars with hydraulic suspension, allowing the car to be driven at a usable legal height, but then to drop to the floor when they wanted. This resulted in the wheels cambering in and tucking under the arch, resembling the stance cars of nowadays. Then we look to where you'd least expect stance to draw inspiration from: racing. In racing, the name of the game is to get as low as possible to reduce your centre of gravity and push your wheels out to gain the most track width you can. Pair this to the fact that increased camber means that there's more of a contact patch when turning, and you see that race cars often look low and wide with generous front camber. Naturally, this look transferred to road cars, and over the years, in a bid to outdo each other, the camber and height became a game of form over function, unlike the race cars they may have drawn inspiration from. So while there's no simple definition of where stance came from, it's easy to see that it hasn't just popped up out of nowhere as people like to say it has. In fact, it's been evolving over many decades, with it breaking into mainstream car culture all across the world in the last 10 to 15 years. So what do you think? Let people modify cars how they want? Or do you think they should take their trail of sparks and beached cars elsewhere?